Hello everybody, this is Diane
and Pat Doyle,
and we are here from Plant-Based Dallas, and we want to welcome you all here. Thank you so much for caring about your health to be a part of this summit and expo. Our presentation today is on weekly prep for plant-based success, and just a little bit about our story. Pat, why don't you tell everybody how we got here?
Our story started actually back in about 2011 when I was diagnosed with cancer. Then Diane was diagnosed 2 years later, and we thought it'd probably be a good idea to maybe look at how we're living and see if we could implement some lifestyle changes in order to not get cancer again, because that's the one thing about cancer. Just because you beat it once doesn't mean it's not coming back.
And I will say that both of us wish that we had known all this before we took the drastic action. Pat had prostate cancer and then I had breast cancer. And we didn't learn about this new lifestyle until we were both recuperating months later that we found out about this. So our mission now with Plant-Based Dallas is to try and spread the word that nutrition and disease are connected, and we want all of you all to learn this before you have to face any kind of lifestyle decisions. So it's not as hard as you think making the transition, and so that's why we're here, to show you that a little bit of prep work is really worth a lot and makes your life easier as far as cooking dinners and lunches. And the more you're prepared, the easier it is. And so let's get started. We're going to start now with one of our most favorite apparatus, and this is not an expensive one. It's called the Vidalia Chop Wizard, and you can get it at Bed Bath & Beyond, and it is $19.99, and you can use a coupon to reduce that down to $15. It's got three basic parts. You've got your food storage caddy. You've got two grates. Sharon, can you see these? Oh, by the way, I've got my good friend Sharon on the camera. So if we need any help, Sharon, just give us the word. We've got a larger grate that's about a ½ inch square, and then this tiny dicer that is about a ¼ inch square. So you put your grate in the canister and you attach the lid. The storage thing has two little nipples on the side. You've always got to make sure that your top is seated correctly so that when you're using this, you don't break it. And my advice is keep your box just in case you do break it. Okay, so you can do all sorts of things with this. I'm going to first show you. You can do soft things like mushrooms, and I've got the larger grate on this. You anchor it down and then just a fast way to do this. And Pat, why don't you take this over there and show them what that looks like. This is the bigger.
You see it? Okay. They're all basically little cubes. I personally like the smaller ones of certain things, because as I've transitioned, there's certain foods that I didn't necessarily care for before, so I personally like them to be chopped up a little bit smaller.
Okay, now we're going to switch to bell peppers, and I've cut my bell pepper into chunks, and you do the soft side down or the skin side up so that you're going through it at the softer edge. Again, bell peppers. And same thing, you've got little squares. Do we need a closer look at that, Sharon?
I don't think so.
Okay. Squares of your bell peppers. Now, I'm going to dump this so that you can see. This is great for soups, stews, and I keep these vegetables chopped and in mason jars in the fridge, and we're going to show you that in a little bit because that's what makes this really, really good. Okay, if you're into French fries, just because you're eating a plant-based way of eating does not mean you can't eat French fries. Okay, so I've cut my russet potato, and I do like to buy all organic potatoes because we eat the skins. So I've got the big russet potato here. This looks a little bit large. I'm going to sort of tilt it, and then you make sure you're down. And this one, you just slowly, Pat, take that over there. here's how you make your potatoes looking like your French fries.
French fries.
Now, you can boil these, you can roast them, you can put them in the Instapot, you can cook your potatoes any way you want to, but this is one shape, and I would recommend that you rinse them before you cook them if you're going to roast them, or if you want to attach spices. It's better that you have the liquid on them because spices will tend to stick to your potatoes.
You can also take that same russet potato and with a handy dandy knife, this is what I like to do with it. Make slices. Usually we do this when they're already cooked. And take these slices, put them in the air fryer, and now I've got homemade French fries, homemade potato chips. With no oil, no processed foods, nothing on them.
And if you don't have an air fryer, you can just roast these in your oven.
Yep.
And bake them till they're crispy. Okay, so that's the big grate. Now we're gonna do the small grate. And this is for tiny, tiny things that would be diced. I've got a half an onion and I'm gonna make it just a little bit smaller. So I've got this piece of onion. It's a little bit harder, but you guys, look at this. Pat, take that over there. It is so great to have those tiny, tiny pieces.
And no tears.
No tears.
Onion chops with no tears.
So this is a Vidalia Chop Wizard. I'm gonna do one more thing that I like. For my carrots that I keep in a jar, if I don't shred them, sometimes I like to have them in long pieces. Same with my radishes. So I'll take my carrot, goes just like that. I've got my whole radish. Here, Pat, take that over there and show it. These are your long pieces. So the longer you have it, little shreds.
Okay.
And I can do that with an apple as well. I've got a half of an apple. Again, skin side up on all of your vegetables so that the skin is the last to go through and is receiving. Make sure that you're on the nipples and your long apple slices as well. Okay, so that's the Vidalia Chop Wizard. We use this every single day. I told you that we use a lot of the mason jars. I store all of my beans and grains in mason jars, and I'll show you that in my pantry in a little bit. Okay, so we keep our veggies, our raw veggies cut up in the refrigerator, and we keep our fruit cut up in the refrigerator. Pat, you want to go get the jars?
Okay.
Okay, we don't always have this many jars filled with veggies, but this box stays in the fridge all the time. And as you can see, I've got all different size jars. We use bigger jars for the things that we use a lot of. And I've got the date on it. So it's got the date and it identifies what's inside of it. This just says greens. This is mixed greens. I've got shredded sweet potatoes that are raw. I've got cucumbers that are cubed. I've got kidney beans. These actually came out of my freezer last night, and I'll talk a little bit about that. Kidney beans that have been rinsed and drained, so they're just single beans. These are the bell peppers, similar to what we just cut. Here's mushrooms. We use a lot of mushrooms. These actually, someone just sliced, did not use the slicer. If you don't have this slicer, then just slice away. Here's poblano peppers. These are a little bit spicier than bells. And here's some of the cooked potatoes. So with these potatoes, I cut them into cubes, and then I put them in the Instapot for 1 minute. I rinsed them and drained them. So these are ready to eat. This is a quick meal. Dump this in, throw some ketchup, mustard, or barbecue sauce on it. Scallions, here's the green onions. You know how you get a bunch of scallions a lot of times and you've got it in your fridge and you forget about it and it gets all slimy? Well, if you just cut up those scallions, this literally will last for over a week and a half, sometimes 2 weeks. All your cruciferous veggies, your broccoli, your Brussels sprouts, your cauliflower, those literally will last 2 to 3 to 4 weeks sometimes. red cabbage, and green cabbage. And I like to slice up my green cabbage really thin, red cabbage as well, because we're gonna show you how to make a quick salad. When we cook our grains in the Instapot, this is wheat berries. We like to rinse them and drain them afterwards, because then you can just pour out your grains into your bowl. So you see how easily these go around. We use a lot of onions, and these are the nice fine chopped ones that Pat likes with the dicer. And this is quinoa that we cooked the other day. Pat likes quinoa in his bowls. So anyway, you get the picture. We've got all these jars, and I'm gonna move these jars over here to show you some quick prep with that in a little bit. Right now we're gonna go onto the Instapot. This is one of our favorite appliances. And today we have prepared 3 things in the Instapot. I like to do all my black beans, all my beans in the Instapot, because we cook them in big quantities, and then we put them in our jars, and we either use them or we take them to the freezer and we freeze them in jars, again, drained and rinsed. So let's talk a little bit about the black beans here. You take your black beans and you put them in some sort of strainer, and you go rinse them really well. And then once you're done rinsing them, you dump them into the Instapot. You don't need to worry about measuring water. Just make sure that you have enough water in there to cover them, maybe a 3-to-1 ratio. If you have cooked it and you open it up and it looks like they need more water, or just add more water and cook them for a little bit more. But too much water is not a problem, because then we just drain them and rinse them anyway. For all my beans and grains, we drain them and rinse them. Pat, do you have anything to add to that?
No, but these beans will cook up in about
32 minutes.
Right, so from dry beans to being on your plate in half an hour, that's pretty good. And we have them in for the week as well.
Right, and I don't spice my beans when I cook them, because I've got black beans in here cooked, and you know, a lot of you might say, do we need to soak them? If you do soak them overnight and you're ahead of the game, then you just take 10 minutes off the cooking time. And I did want to show you this. I have these handy cooking charts that I made. One of them is alpha by ingredient, and it tells you how much cooking time you need. And these times are all from dry beans or grains. So I like to have these cooking charts because it's quick access. The other one is a companion cooking time, which means you can cook 2 or 3 items at the same time because they have similar times. So if I'm cooking black beans, I might say, hey, what else cooks for 35 minutes? Oh, oat grows, or spelt does, so I can put both those in at the same time. So those are handy little charts to have, and those you can find on our website. Okay, so this morning we have cooked up our black beans.
What's the website?
Oh yeah, plantbaseddallas.com. So let's look at...
We also have a YouTube channel and an Instagram account under Plant Based Dallas.
So if you were gonna, we've rinsed these, and we're gonna dump them inside the canister. There's an empty canister down at the bottom in the turnabout, Pat. Thank you. I do happen to have a second liner. So you have rinsed your beans, and you're just dumping them in here. Pat, would you fill that up with water? He has no clue how much water to add, but he's got enough in there that looks like it will be fine. Again, if you're not sure, add more water, because we're going to drain it anyway. Okay, so the way the Instapot works, for those of you who have never used it, this really is worth the money. It's safe. It's not going to ever open if it's under pressure. Okay, so let's move this over here. I'm going to come here. Oops. Okay, I don't hardly use any of these buttons because there's so many. I just use the manual button. So I hit manual. I look on my chart, and black beans are 30 minutes, and I want to make sure that they're cooked, so I'll probably just go, I'll just go 35 minutes. Manual, It says 25, I don't want 25, so I'm gonna use the plus and the minus button to go up to 35. And then I wait. And as soon as you hear the 3 beeps, that means that it's starting to cook. Okay, there it is. Now, it will continue to stay on till it's built up pressure. It's gonna start heating up, and as the pressure rises and the heat increases, pretty soon this thing is gonna lock up. You're not gonna be able to open it. But say you forget something and you wanna add something to it, you're still able to unlock it. As long as you can unlock it, it's not under pressure. The other thing I need to mention is, before you cook anything, every Instapot has a venting or sealing mode. This is the sealing mode on this one, and this is the venting. Just remember that you need to make sure that you are sealing it. So it's on sealed, we've got the timer set, and it's good to go. So those are the black beans. I'm going to switch those out there. And what we really like to cook in these things is our new potatoes. Take a whole bag of new potatoes, we rinse them, we put about a half a cup water in here, and they cook for about 12 minutes. So, I've got my potatoes in here. These are actually already cooked.
And these are the ones I actually make my potato chips with. The ones that are cooked. I was cutting the raw ones, but we just put these in the refrigerator just like this. And it's just one of my favorite snacks or favorite things to eat with my meal is to take one of these, slice it up like we did before, put it in the air fryer or the oven, however you can cook it, and I just wait for them to start to turn brown, and I have a healthy potato chip.
And we keep the potatoes in here. We don't even put them in a sealed container, just easy access. So these are our cooked potatoes. And again, if you don't have an Instapot, you can microwave your potatoes, you can roast them cut up, but
The air fryer that we use, we actually have just this little oven right over here. It's got a whole bunch of different modes on it.
yeah, we have the Breville Smart Oven, but there are many types. We like this one because you can actually bake pizzas. It's a little bit larger. It's pricier, but if you're going to spend some money, the Breville Smart Oven is a really good one. But you can.
But you don't have to have it.
No, you can just as easily bake. So the key is to make your veggies, to cook your veggies, to have them ready so that you can eat it. I mean, a meal of veggies for us, if we're really in a bind, we'll take a few of these cooked potatoes. You can take them in the car and snack on them. They're great for road trips. You can cut this up, put barbecue sauce on it. That's a nice little snack. So potatoes are good to just have hanging around. Okay, and the other thing in the Instapot we had was we cooked chickpeas and sorghum together. And again, Sharon, can you see this one over here?
Nope.
Okay, let me just move it. Chickpeas and garbanzos are the same thing. Here's your garbanzo beans, and this is sorghum. Sorghum is a new grain that neither Pat nor I had ever seen or heard of, but over the past 7 years, we are eating foods and have increased the diversity of our plants probably 100-fold.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, what were some of the veggies that you ate prior to doing this, Pat?
Potatoes, corn.
Yeah, that's really about it.
Did I mention potatoes and corn?
Yeah.
And iceberg lettuce.
And so now we're eating all these different ones. Never in a million years would Pat have gotten a jar of mixed greens and dumped it into his bowl. And what were the fruits that you liked to eat before?
Bananas, if I ate them. Maybe an apple.
Right,
And
now
that's pretty much it.
yeah, and tell them, we'll get back to the Instapot, but tell them, this is another thing that we have. These are from from Bed Bath & Beyond. They're made by Fitz & Floyd. They're called Everyday White. This is the serving bowl that they sell at Bed Bath & Beyond. We use this as our bowls for our food, and literally we fill this up with food. Talk about your fruit bowl.
We generally don't use plates anymore. I mean, this is what we eat in. Now, where I mentioned that my favorite fruit were bananas and apples, now every day I have one of these, and it's full of cantaloupe on the bottom, which my kids still can't believe I'm eating cantaloupe because I've hated cantaloupe my entire life. Cantaloupe, raspberries, blackberries, strawberries, blueberries, and banana, all in this bowl. And every day I look and think, God, there's no way I can eat this whole thing. And I'll be danged, about 20 minutes later, I'm not scraping the bottom of the bowl, and I feel, and it's great. It's a broad or wide variety of food, and it just tastes great. I don't put anything on it. There's no sauce, no nothing. It's just a big bowl of fruit.
And all that fiber. I mean, the more you read, and I'm sure all of y'all are learning about how important all this fiber is. In fact, I'm going to do a little shout out to Dr. Will Bolsowitz. If you all have not gotten this book, this is a great book for beginners because it gives you the science about why it's so important for plant diversity and eating all these different plants. And then at the back, he's got a 4-week plan with easy recipes and grocery lists. So, Dr. Will, good job on this. Fiber fuel.
And I think it's important to point out that the reason that we eat this way too, it's not because we watched a video by some wacky vegans in California. This is all science backed, and we truly believe it because it's not just a theory. This is medically proven to lower blood pressure, lower cholesterol, reduce
reverse heart disease,
reduce the likelihood for cancer. All these, and I've seen it in my own self. I used to be on a statin, which I no longer take. My blood pressure now is below where it was when I was on a statin. So this is not just some wacky theory stuff. This is science backed, and that's why we're totally on board.
Yeah, and that's a good point you brought up as to why we did this. We already had our cancer removed when we found out about this, and we said, well, let's try this and see if it helps us. Because our blood numbers were not good. His cholesterol was high, my cholesterol was high, over 200, but I had never been on any kind of statins yet. And so we decided to just do this little science experiment and did 4 weeks and could not believe the difference in our blood numbers. I mean, my cholesterol went from 230 to 160, and we weren't even doing it 100%. We had just slowly started the transition.
Yeah, and by the way, no disrespect to our California vegans. Now we're part of the brotherhood. Now we're the Dallas vegans. So
that's exactly right. And you know, people ask you what's the difference between whole food, plant-based, and vegan. That's a really good point to bring up. Whole food, plant-based are doing it for the health reasons. The vegans really are doing it for the animal rights reasons, but a lot of this is overlapping. Whole food, plant-based, we're trying to stay away from the processed foods. We don't want to eat the plant-based Oreos. There's a lot of vegan foods that aren't healthy, and so we're trying to teach you today how to use the whole foods to stay healthy. Okay, so we've got our Instapots. We did the black beans, and here's what they look like after they've cooked. Again, 35 minutes, no spices, and you see how I still have a little bit of liquid in there. I'm gonna rinse these and drain them so that I can put them in a jar and pour them out. So that's our black beans. You know what I'm gonna use these black beans for? Oh, maybe a bowl, maybe some chili, or maybe I'm gonna make brownies or chocolate cake. Yes, these black beans can go in brownies and chocolate cake, and these are recipes that you'll learn as you go along how to put all these good foods into things that you can make.
I think it's important to note too that this has been a transition for us. This was not something that we just jumped into overnight. It's something that we're 100% into now, but it was a process building up to where we're at.
Right. When we started, we immediately gave up red meat and dairy. Those were the first two things, and processed foods. But we were still eating a few eggs, we were still eating some fish, and we were still using oil. And then over the years, we've transitioned out of all that, especially when we're cooking at home. Okay, so let's look at, I've showed you what the cooked potatoes look like. You don't really need to see those. Okay, so this last Instapot, and you don't need 3 Instapots. I have 3 because I've been gifted from people, and my parents are living with us, so we have theirs as well. This is the sorghum chickpea combo. And again, don't forget that you can cook things together. So I'll jar these up in the same jar. Here's the, oh, that's hot, sorghum and chickpeas. Can you see that? Okay, and again, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to drain this and rinse it. I'm going to drain this and rinse it. So this is your sorghum and your chickpeas. And we'll keep that in a jar. And I like to use this one in my lemon tahini bowl that we're going to show you how to fix in just a minute. Okay, let's see what we've got. Any other things about the jar, Pat, that you can think of, the jars in the fridge?
No, they're just, if you can get into the discipline of doing this once a week, it makes it so much easier. Otherwise, you're having to if you need onions, well, you gotta put all the onions and chop them every time. And it's just hard to do, but if you can get in the habit of doing this, it's a discipline like anything else. And once you get in the habit of it, it'll make your life a lot easier.
And you know, there's other options too. I have a lot of friends who use a lot of frozen veggies. There's nothing wrong with using frozen veggies out of the freezer because that's easy and fast. So if you are into buying the frozen food section, there's a lot of things that can save you time in the frozen food section. Okay, when I'm filling up my jars, where's my empty jar? Here it is. I got this stainless steel wide mouth funnel on Amazon, and this makes it a lot easier to fill up your jars. So it's not something you have to have, but it sure does make it a lot easier. So that's your stainless steel funnel. Okay, Pat is going to show you how he makes one of his most favorite bowl. And speaking of jars, there's wide mouth and there's regular mouth. And I'm going to show you the difference. And you can use your salsa jars or your pickle relish jars. But if you're going to buy jars, there's two types. You've got your wide mouth and your regular mouth. Obviously, the wide mouth makes it easier to get to, so most of mine are wide mouth. But if you like these regular mouth, there is a differentiation.
There's also a funnel for the regular mouth too.
Yeah, it fits on both. Okay, Pat. So
real quick, just want to show you how I make my bowl. What I make for breakfast every day. This is one of the things that about me. It's one of my idiosyncrasies. I can eat the same thing all the time, and this is what I make myself every day for breakfast. I use my jars, and I would take some of these black beans. I don't think we have any in a jar.
There you go.
And just I'm gonna put a scoop of black beans in here, in the bottom of my bowl. Again, I don't really measure anything. And I take some of these greens. This is Swiss chard, which prior to eating this, I'd never heard the word Swiss chard. I put some of that in there.
And actually, he doesn't know, but there's other things in there, like there's some cut up carrot greens from the garden, and there's some amaranth greens in there.
We can also, we use spinach that just buy the store, organic spinach. And I always like to take a knife or scissors, and I like to cut the greens up because I don't like big hunks of greens. I don't mind them. I don't mind greens, but I just don't like big chunks of them. So I cut them up, and you just spend a couple minutes doing that.
Here's what he usually uses: big old box of greens, washed and ready.
And then I just start taking all the things that I never used to eat in my entire life and start putting them in the bowl. This is mushrooms here. Put some mushrooms in. And Diane generally cuts up these mushrooms, and they're a little bit bigger than I like, so I'll take the scissors and cut them up in little smaller pieces too, just so I can get big honking pieces of mushrooms. My favorite, poblano peppers, gives a good spicy flavor. The red peppers, I love these.
Red and yellow.
Red and yellow peppers. Okay. Another thing that I'm not a big fan of, but I'll eat because it's diced up, is sweet potatoes, which are great for you. Put some sweet potatoes in there. See, it doesn't take long at all.
And these mushrooms, remember, are raw, as are the sweet potatoes. That's why I like to do the shreds of the sweet potatoes. These are raw, and the mushrooms are raw as well.
My personal favorite ingredient that gives it a lot of flavor is the purple onions. Love these things, especially when they're diced up so finely. I'll also put some of the scallions in. Yeah, my breath is like a tornado after this, but this is not the scallions.
That's okay.
Oh, that's the Brussels sprouts. I'm still working my way into the Brussels sprouts.
No, but he does eat them. Don't let him
I
fool
do
you.
eat them. Where's the scallions? Here they are. Here's the scallions. Oh, what do you know? I'm running out of room in my bowl. It happens pretty much every day. And then, oh, not that. I got that. The purple cabbage. It's a purple cabbage. And then, that's pretty much it.
I do have cilantro if you want to add it.
Yeah, I like to add some cilantro. I'll do that when it's done. But the thing about it is, when you look at the bowl, look how good that looks. I mean, it's pretty. All the different colors, which all the different colors means that I'm eating a diverse variety of foods, and that's what you want. You want to eat a diverse variety of foods. It's great for your gut, and it helps your. I don't know, you keep your gut biome in balance.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, that is a plethora of different vitamins and minerals, and each of these different foods creates a different bacteria in our guts that protect us from all the infection. Now, Pat is going to actually microwave this.
But one thing that I don't have on here that because we forgot to prepare it is we'll make some of the homemade, the plant-based cheese, whether it be out of the bell peppers or cashews. And I'll pour some and add a little Mexican seasoning to it and pour that on top. I don't have any; it's not really needed because what I'll do when I'm done with this is I'll put it in the microwave and then I'll put a bunch of salsa on top, and that's what gives it this real Mexican flavor.
So any kind of salsa, just check the ingredients, and I think sometimes likes to use avocado. We've got lime here and a squeeze of lime. Sometimes he does on that. Let's go back to the potatoes. Everything in these jars is raw, and it's best to eat your mushrooms cooked, we've now learned, and so we do cook our mushrooms. I don't have any in here right now, but just like the potatoes, the cooked potatoes, he could have added some of these cooked potatoes in here.
Man, I should have.
Yeah, I mean, he just didn't spend the time, but I also will pre-cook some cubed sweet potatoes because these shredded ones cook in the microwave pretty fast. If you were to put some uncooked diced potatoes or sweet potatoes, they take a little bit longer. So I do like to keep cooked potatoes, cooked sweet potatoes in the chunks in here as well. And again, the beans are cooked, but you know what? You can just as easily pull out a can of beans out of your pantry. I mean, I do the Instapot beans because it's cheaper, but you can just as easily, and sometimes we do, pull cans of beans.
The black beans, organic black beans, you just get at Walmart.
Walmart, Sprouts, any of those places, and look for the ones with the lower salt. Okay, so while he's got his bowl cooking, I do mine a little bit differently. He uses a microwave. I like to steam mine on the stove. Okay, so I'm going to start off with the things that need to cook the most, and so I'm going to look for my broccoli. I'm making a lemon tahini bowl, and I'm going to put a little bit of broccoli. And Pat didn't use broccoli in his bowl today, but he does on other days.
Ordinarily I do, but when I do my broccoli, again, I'm not a huge fan of the big chunks, so I'll take this in my bowl and actually cut it up. It looks ridiculous, but it don't also look like it's snowing broccoli here. But again, I'm getting all the nutrition from it, but I'm not getting the big chunks.
And that's how he likes it. That's how he likes it. So I'm going to put some broccoli and some cauliflower. Pack that in pretty well. And I love celery in this bowl, so I'm going to look for the celery. You forgot quinoa.
Dang it.
So I cooked that up for him especially. He likes to put a grain in there, and he forgot to put some quinoa. That's okay. So celery, and I love sweet potatoes in my lemon tahini bowl. So get some sweet potatoes, and of course, you gotta have mushrooms. Remember your G-bombs from Dr. Greger, trying to get your G-bombs in every meal. Greens for the G, B is beans, O for onions, M for mushrooms, B for berries, and S for seeds and nuts, G-bombs. And then, oh, that was Dr. Furman as well. Dr. Furman had the G-bombs, and Michael Greger continued it. Here's a little bit of bok choy or cabbage. I like cabbage in there. And my grain, I'm going to put some wheat berries because I remember having them in here. Here's the wheat berries. I love these wheat berries and spelt when it cooks up, crunchy little things. Alrighty, there's the wheat berries and red onion. Oops, that's a lot of red onion. Okay, and sweet potatoes, broccoli. I think that's all. Oh, I'll put a little bit of cilantro. So I'm gonna add a little bit of water to this, put it on the stove, and I'm just gonna steam it until it looks like it's done. I forgot my beans. The beans I like to put in this are chickpeas. So I'm gonna scoop some out of here, the chickpeas and the sorghum. Normally I'd have these in a jar, but we're just gonna add a little bit of that. And we will steam this. And while that is steaming, Pat, this is still cooking.
Yeah, it's close enough.
While his is still cooking, I'm going to show you a couple things that we like to have around the house. A lot of people say, what do you use as a milk? This is our favorite milk. It's West Soy Organic Unsweetened Plain Soy Milk. Ingredients, water, organic soybeans. And as you've probably learned throughout this summit and reading, there is no problem with soy. A lot of people get worried, oh my gosh, soy estrogen, it's bad for you. No, those are phytoestrogens and they're actually good for you. So we have no problem drinking soy. This has no sugar in it, so and no other additives. So that's what we like, our West Soy from Walmart actually. My two favorite spices that I use most often are smoked paprika and chipotle powder. I use all the spices, but those are two of my favorites.
Okay, so here's mine. I just put it in my fridge for about 5 minutes. Out.
Okay,
Coming in hot.
here we go.
All right, so the last thing I like to add, as I mentioned, is
We're gonna get closer.
some salsa. Give it a good Mexican flavor. There's that. Some cilantro. Understand that some people don't like cilantro.
There's actually a gene that to some people cilantro tastes like soap or dirt. Thank goodness we don't have that gene, and cilantro to us is delicious.
A lime. Gonna put our little lime squeezer. That.
An avocado.
An avocado.
And if he wants to try and fulfill his G-bombs, Dr. Furman's G-bombs, he might add some seeds. And I got my seeds out of the freezer. Pumpkin seeds, Pat.
Okay.
And his salt and pepper to spice it up.
Yep. We don't cook with salt, but sometimes we'll add it when we're done.
Great point. Never put salt when you're cooking your beans and your grains, because the salt will inhibit the absorption of the liquid and they'll come out hard. So you only want to salt right before you eat it with your beans or grains or whatever meal.
There you have it. There's my Mexican bowl. It's muy bueno. This is what I have every day for breakfast. And I love it. Again, this is one of these things, I look at it, and I think there's no way I can eat all this, but somehow or other it all fits in my stomach. And I lost weight eating all this stuff, so go figure.
Yeah, that's another thing. This way of eating, this new lifestyle, we were not in it for the weight loss because we were average weight, or so we thought. But when you start eating this way, your body will go to its desired weight. And Pat has lost...
I lost probably 15 to 20 pounds when we first started, and I don't even get on a scale anymore because all my clothes, unless my clothes start fitting different, there's no reason to. I can't add weight if I try.
Right, it's a good side benefit, and I lost about 15 pounds as well. So one other thing here, mine is still cooking. We use a lot of lemons and limes and citrus. They can add a lot of flavor as far as salad dressings go, and I like to use on my lemon tahini bowl a lot of dill. Dill is a really good spice that I've grown to love, so dill weed is good. This is tahini. Tahini is a butter made from ground up sesame seeds. This is from an Indian store, actually. Indian markets are actually good places to go and get a lot of these things. So if you have one in your neighborhood or know of one, that's a fun little outing. But tahini is sort of like peanut butter. It's ground up nuts or seeds in a butter form. So I will use this in my lemon tahini bowl. And we're going to be using our sliced lemons for that as well. And while my lemon tahini bowl is cooking, we're going to create a salad really quick. Pat, why don't you move a little bit of this away? So this is how fast salads are when you have all your jars ready. A quick salad in the evening, I'm going to put a little bit of cabbage. And this is shredded squash that's raw. I'm gonna throw that in there.
So far, everything she's putting in is stuff that I never ate before. I refused to eat.
Okay, and the great thing we've realized about salad, that was red onion. Here's some red cabbage. Again, no recipe, no measuring, we're just dumping. I don't have any tomatoes. Here's some cucumber. Now, for our salads and dressings, I don't really make dressings all that often. Instead, I'm using the ingredients. I have apple that I sliced earlier today that I've had soaking in water to try and keep it from going brown. But I like to shred up some sort of fruit or cut up a fruit really small in the salad because the fruit actually makes the dressing. So I'm going to put some shredded apple in here. And we use a lot of vinegar. So many different kinds of vinegars. Vinegars make your dishes really good. So this is white wine vinegar. I'm going to use a little bit of the white wine vinegar in here, and I'm going to squeeze some lemon. Again, combination of lemon, of citrus, and vinegar is a great salad dressing. And oh, Pat, this is the key thing for your Mexican salad. We forgot. Every single time.
Oh, dang, yeah.
Mitch should talk about that.
I throw some mangoes on top too. They add just a little bit of sweetness to it, and again, mangoes are something I never ate before. Never really understood. You know, I didn't eat any of this kind of stuff, but I love the cold things I put on top. So you have the hot that I steamed in or cooked in the microwave, and then you've got the mangoes, the salsa, the avocado, which give it a little cool flavor and a sweet flavor too. So
you don't cook the mango,
no,
that's afterwards.
Yep, put those on afterwards.
So I'm gonna add some mango to my salad in addition to the, and I might cut it a little smaller than it is right now, but I'm not gonna do that now. Okay, I don't have any tomatoes cut right now. I'm gonna add some more veggies. I've got these radishes I'm gonna add. And then I've got this chopper. And again, whatever you want in your salad. I didn't even put everything. I've got the lemon juice or the orange juice. I've got a vinegar. I love dill in here, so we're going to put some dill. Again, no measuring. We're going to do a little bit of salt and pepper. Pepper. And salt. So our dressing is the foods. I buy this at Walmart. You can make your own. This is Trilogy Health Seeds. This is a combo of flax, chia, and hemp. Okay, this is where we get our omega-3 fatty acids. This is where we get our protein. This is high in protein. Pat, what about protein? Do you worry about your protein?
No, I don't worry about protein because just about everything I poured in my bowl, there's plenty of protein in those, okay? I get my protein from the same place the animals get it, which is through the plants. The animals are just intermediaries. So we cut out the middleman and go straight to the plants for our protein.
And we both work out and exercise and have no problem with endurance or anything else. So don't need to worry about your protein. Okay, now let's go look at this. And if you want a richer salad dressing, You might add some almond butter or some peanut butter or some tahini, but this is a light, refreshing. You've got the sweetness of the mango and the apple, and then you have the tartness of the onion, or the spice of the onion and the radishes. So this is great salad. Look at how fast that was. Okay, now my lemon tahini bowl is about ready. I have been steaming it, covered it up. I added a little bit of water. You know, I didn't need any oil. I just added water, and it has steamed it and made its own little broth from the vegetables. And to make my lemon tahini bowl, coming back here to my lemon, I'm gonna squeeze lots of lemon on it. We go through a lot of lemons. We probably go through 10 or 15 lemons. Okay, lemon, and I'm gonna put dill on it. Again, no measuring. I like a little bit of spice in it. Would you get the sriracha out of the door, Pat? Okay, here's the tahini that I was telling you about, ground up sesame seeds. And you could just as easily use sesame seeds in here, the whole thing, the whole seed, and that's basically the same as a butter. I do like sriracha. This is Sprouts sriracha sauce for a little bit of spice, a couple drops of that. And we're stirring it up. And that's my lemon tahini bowl. I like a little bit of sweet with the spice, so I will then go and add, where'd those mangoes go? I will add either mangoes or pineapple to that. Oh, and speaking of that, would you bring out the pineapple? So I will add my cold mangoes on top of this, and Sharon, we get to taste this after this is all over. Okay, what I wanted to show you is we cut up our fruits and keep them in these jars, but if you'll notice in the bottom of this pineapple thing is all this juice. Okay, this juice is so great. Put it in your salads or in your lemon tahini bowl to sweeten it up even more. We're using everything from the plants. Okay, so here's my lemon tahini bowl. I'm gonna add a little bit of salt and pepper, just a tad bit, because you really don't need much. Salt. That was on the salad, and pepper.
Okay.
And here, I'm gonna show you this. Oh, this pan, I wanna tell you about this pan. This is a ceramic coated pan. So there's my lemon tahini bowl. Isn't that beautiful? Okay, here we go. Can we see that, Sharon?
Mm-hmm.
Got it?
Yep.
Okay, this is a bowl wrap pan that is ceramic coated, and you can order that on Amazon. They have both a 12-inch and a 14-inch. And I don't know if you can see that thing that says Vollrath. Can you see that, Sharon?
Not really.
Okay, Vollrath, V-O-L-L-R-A-T-H. You can order those on Amazon. Okay, we have finished our cooking demo, but I want to show you real quick. We're going to take a quick little tour of our refrigerator and freezer. Pat, would you open up the fridge? Let me put these jars back. So Sharon, you can join us over here, and we're going to look at the refrigerator. And, you know, check out your refrigerator. See how you can store your veggies the best. See if you have room for a box. So we keep all of our veggies in jars here. We keep our fruit, cut up fruits up here, our potatoes, and then our dishes as we cook them down here. And then over here in the freezer, remember I told you when you make up those big batches of beans and grains, well then we like to freeze them. And I just freeze them in the jars here. These do not have liquid in them. And we'll get these out as we need to. And up here is our frozen fruits for any smoothies that we make. Now remember, Pat was saying that this was a transition. We did not do this overnight. We've been doing this for 7 years now. So when you look at my pantry, don't get intimidated. This has been a gradual evolution, but I do love coming into my pantry and seeing all these fresh beans and grains. Look, who knew that there were so many beans and grains? Never even heard of all these before all this started. So pick and choose, pick a new recipe, maybe one each week. Don't try and overwhelm yourself. The big thing is cook up your beans and grains and your veggies and just consume them and eat them. I do like to keep in here a good supply of tomato products. And then down here are my canned beans. Barbecue sauce, mustard, and ketchup. You use those condiments a lot. Yep.
Soy sauce.
Yep.
Soy milk.
The soy milk, and I like to keep vegetable broth on stock. Lots of different vinegars. Okay, very good. So what we want to say to everybody is, just a review. The main thing is, the easiest way to consume all these fruits and veggies is you got to spend time prepping in the kitchen. And you can get the whole family to help. And you want to cook your beans, your grains, and your veggies and just eat them.
The other thing I'd say too is, as you fill your pantry and your refrigerator with all these healthy things, hopefully it's starting to take the place of the unhealthy things, because if the unhealthy things are there, you're going to eat them. So the point is try and fill it up with all the healthy stuff so that you're not even tempted by the unhealthy stuff.
One last thing, be sure to check us out, Plant-Based Dallas, on social media. Once the coronavirus has subdued, we'll get back to having our different meetups. We will have potlucks, we have guest speakers, we meet for walks, we do our jar swaps, and oh, I did want to tell you about a jar swap real quick. We know how you have cookie swaps back at Christmas time, where you all trade your cookies. Well, we have jar swaps where everybody brings one wide mouth jar. No, they bring 12 of them of the same ingredient. So they'll walk in with their box of jars, and everybody trades, and you go home with 12 different veggies. So directions to a jar swap are on our website. You're welcome to have one in your own neighborhood. And the key thing is finding a support group. If you don't have a support group in your neighborhood or in your community, start one. Start trying to get friends to cook with, and it's a lot easier to have people like Sharon to do this journey with you. So y'all have a great day and enjoy this, and we're looking forward to seeing y'all more often. Bye-bye.